like moving on from single life to people that are married in a great relationship, you mentioned the Gottman school of relationships, and over the past couple of years, and I've heard about them before, but I've just been reading about them more recently, and I really love everything that they have to say because it's so science based. There's so much evidence behind it, and they've worked with so many couples that like the things that they seem to come out with, and I'd love you to talk about them a little bit of maybe how they come up with their methodology and how they can, maybe you can just start of who the Gottmans are and what they teach.
So the Gottman method was founded by John Gottman and Bob Levinson, and they met in college. And the reason why they were so interested in what made, not marriages at the time, but what made relationships work was that they had no clue as to, they didn't know how to pick up a girl. They didn't know that once they were dating a girl, how to keep them, what was important, how do I allow them to know that I see them and that I care about them. So they got together and they created a love lab, okay? Because they wanted to figure out what actually makes relationships work. So for 40 years, they took couples, and they were always married couples, into this lab, and they kind of connected them to, like, their heart rates were connected, and they would analyze their urine. They would see when they were in conflict, like what would happen, and which of these were the masters and which of these were the disasters. And they ended up understanding and getting to a point where they saw that the most important thing in a relationship was friendship, was love, what they call love maps, right? Understanding and being curious of the other one's daily lives. It's being integrated. It's not just doing something for your partner when it's their birthday or when it's your anniversary or when, it's a big occasion. It's actually doing small things often and trying to find what is right. What did they do that's right? Instead of trying to, kind of blame everything on them and feeling like, well, this is never going to work unless they change because I am right in everything I do and you're not. So, right. So it's finding truth in what the other person says and feels, and creating a very, very strong bond of friendship, trust, and commitment.
Okay. And that's interesting. So it's small things often opposed to like the big rom-com sort of gestures.
Yes.
And so it seems like part and parcel of it would be being a good, I guess, roommate, so to speak. And then another part is a good partner that can, you validate your other person's feelings, that they're being seen. But these are things that are like daily efforts, it sounds like.
It's daily efforts, yeah. Another thing that they point to is being able to answer the other person's bid, right? So let's just say you guys are taking a walk outside and your wife says, oh my God, look at the shape of that leaf. Look how soft that is. Look, it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. So if you were to kind of just ignore it and keep going, that's one of the things that the disasters would do. They really are not acknowledging what the other person is bidding for, or it's their way of trying to connect emotionally with you, right? But if you stopped and you said, that is interesting. Wow. I've never seen anything like that either. You're answering the bid. So that strengthens your connection to them.
Right.
Everything is about emotional safety.
Okay.
Really, at the end of the day.
I have an interesting question on that, because I think I have read that as well, the idea of bid, and that betrayal doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical betrayal of of cheating on someone or
Yep.
or whatever, that it has to be that if you're not answering these bids all the time and validating your partner, then that's also another sign of, or another indicator of betrayal, which I didn't think of before. And so I had a friend recently that the way I would describe the issues he had in a past relationship is that his partner was giving so many bids that was overwhelming him. Like every second there was a bid. It was like 40 questions a minute. He had to make a majority of the decisions. It doesn't matter if they're watching a movie or going out or whatever. It was like bid, 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 bid. And so like he's like sometimes she would just never stop talking or never. He's like, and so like I was like emotionally overwhelmed by all these, you know, to use your term, from all the bids that I was expected to respond to. And so if she was bidding so often, sometimes I would just stay quiet and not have to participate. And but then she would increase her emotional volatility until he would answer that bid. And so over time, the way he would describe it, he's like, I just could not take this anymore. Like it was just so emotionally draining from me. So how does someone combat that? Like you just have to exit the relationship, or how do you have to set a boundary? Like how does that a situation like that work?
Very good. Yeah, you would have to set a boundary and have a conversation with her and say, babe, I love you. I am here for you. I see you, but I also need time to wind down and relax. And with you asking me questions or trying to get my attention all the time, you're steering me away from my peaceful moments, or the times that I would like to be with you, but also not have to engage verbally all the time. For some people, speaking is not easy. For me, it's not easy. I could listen to somebody for hours, and that's why it's hard for me to even do podcasts, because I have a really hard time expressing myself in words.
Okay. Well, you're doing great today.
Thank you.